Camera's just a little. Alright, there we go. Now I'm just a little more centered. Alright. So, this episode, today, so, actually, I don't even know if I have a review of it, but, I do have, wait, I was gonna go something like that. No idea. Yeah, I have literally no idea. Alright, anyway, so this is a review of Guardians of the Galaxy, the first, movie. Oh, I can't remember if I did a review on the second one. I know I definitely did Thor Ragnarok and 12 Strong. I don't remember, and then I think I did Black Panther. I don't think I did Volume 2. I'm not 100% sure. So, anyway, this is basically just a review of the first movie. I did see the second movie before I saw the first movie, and there were kind of when I saw the second movie, I was like, there were times I was like, oh, if I saw the first movie prior to seeing the second movie, I probably saw the first movie. All like these holes that were just kind of like created from the second movie, really opened up. After I saw the first movie, and also the whole Infinity Stone thing, I didn't realize, so I have the movie on DVD, so I didn't realize that's kind of what the whole movie was based on. That's why Ronan and Thanos were kind of like going after this crew. But with that being said, I got a new character that's like not level 20. Aquaman. Oh, so yeah, I didn't realize it was based on an Infinity Stone, and I've been trying to do some research. I've said this before. I have like I have this huge Google Doc like movies and TV show stuff and like particular orders to watch everything in. And it's crazy. It literally makes me look like a madman. It's like, it's really so bad. Yeah. So, there are still a couple movies I want to see before I see Infinity War in April. I just don't know how I'm going to get them. I mean, I have a couple websites. I have a couple sources. So... and worst comes to worst, I'll just buy them on DVD, and if I have to, I'll wait till like after the movie. And then things I have like questions to, I'll just answer when I get there. But let's get into it. I've done a lot of small talk. Let's just freaking start talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. Let me just say, prior to watching it today, because we had a snow day, so my dad's like, you know what, let's watch a movie. And my dad was like on board. I was like, all right, cool, we're watching a movie. And he's like, all right, fine. So, I was like, let's watch Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I haven't seen the full thing yet, because the first 2 times I tried to watch it, it was like 12 at night, and I was so tired, so, you know, I just put the movie on. I fell asleep both times. But this time, I was fully wide awake. I was trying to make all the references back to the second movie, and it was so cool. I think, so... the whole Yondu thing, until you see the second movie, you think Yondu's almost like a villain to Peter Quill, and he's heavily portrayed as that. He's portrayed as someone who's attempting to, I don't want to say like hurt Peter, but like Yondu and Star-Lord, Peter Quill, really are not on good terms for a majority of this movie. And actually, kind of like the whole movie, but, I mean, towards the end, I think he lightens up a little bit, and, yeah. So, anyway, so, I want to talk about that relationship. Another relationship I want to talk about was, Gamora and Peter Quill. This chair's really loud. Maybe that's why I can't think. I'm, like, being distracted back here. So Gamora and Peter Quill, I saw the second movie. They become like lovers, I guess, and Not a lot of people know, I guess, about like what happens on Earth because it's like an entire universe. So like they don't know the customs on every universe. Um, so like the whole dancing thing, like dancing's for the weak, and then Peter's like, no, everyone dances. You should dance with me, and I found that really interesting. Because it's tough because I've seen the second movie, so I know like kind of what leads to what. But for like I'm trying to like pretend like I didn't see the second movie, but it's actually easier to make the connections. But I think that scene when he just puts the headphones on her and is like about to kiss her, and she's like, "Oh, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to like pelvic thrust me or whatever." I was like, oh damn, alright, so that's how they say sex on freaking wherever she's from, Xandar, I think. But I found it interesting because in the moment, she's just kind of worried about her home planet and making sure the stone doesn't fall into Ronan and Thanos and Nebula's hands. So I found that's kind of the first time she like calmed down so much about Xandar and the stone and was really just kind of like focused in the moment, kind of, if that makes any sense. A really quick thing that I spotted, and this is because I've seen Thor Ragnarok, the Collector makes an appearance and actually basically describes what the stone does. So I felt like he played a pretty big-ish role because prior to that, no one knew what the stone did. No one knew what was inside the orb even. They didn't even realize it was a stone. And then that perfectly sets up for Avengers in Infinity War because, one, Thanos is the main villain in Infinity War. And two, he's going after the stones, which clearly the Guardians of the Galaxy, or the Guardians, have one of. So I found that to be interesting. I wish they made a Marvel version of Injustice 2. I just think that'd be so silly. I'm sorry, a little off topic. So I thought the Collector played a big role without playing like you don't really realize he plays a big role until you look back on the movie. You're like, oh wow, like if the Collector didn't explain what the stone was, maybe they wouldn't have cared so much. Like in the beginning, they only care about the stone because they want like the 4 trillion units, which is the current Collector comes. They really do find out. So I found that, and it was almost kind of cool because then once Ronan has it, you're like, oh shit, like is Xandar gonna blow up? And you're like, it's a movie. Marvel does this all the time. The heroes always find a way to manage to come back or whatever. But like for a while, you're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen here? So I think when Ronan had once acquired the stone, that was kind of like the biggest point of the movie for me. Another relationship I want to talk about is Groot and Rocket the Raccoon.
Begin.
I forget what his official name is, but I know his name is Rocket. The whole movie, everyone's calling each other idiots and dumbasses and everything. And it's funny, but then when times get serious, it's like everyone's still fighting each other. Drax fights Groot and Rocket. And we'll get to Drax in a second. But I just thought the relationship between Rocket and Groot at the end of the movie, when Groot uses his body to shield and protect everyone else, I thought it really shows that no matter how much everyone was kind of at each other's throats the whole movie, they could still come together as a team. They could still fight off Ronan. I keep saying Thanos, but Thanos really wasn't a villain in the movie. He was just kind of like, I don't want to say like just there, but like that's kind of basically all he was. So there was that.
Aquaman wins.
I found that so like that was one of the things where I was like, wow, all right, like they are a team. They're not just like, it's not like two of them are doing it for the money. Peter's doing it for Gamora, and Drax is doing it for his own reason. It's like they and Gamora's just doing it to save her home planet. It's like everyone kind of now had a reason to be like together, and I thought that was just, like that scene when Groot sacrifices himself, and then the following where Ronan has the stone. Rocket and Drax build that device to get the stone free, and then you have like Peter and Gamora who like hold on to the stone, and then although Groot is now unfortunately destroyed at this point, I don't really want to say killed because he gets replanted at the end, hence Baby Groot in the second movie. But at that point, when Rocket puts his hand on Drax, Drax puts his hand on Quill's holding hands with Gamora, that really just signified to me that, like, you know, they're a team now, they can work together. I mean, you look at Fantastic Four, they always had their fights, but when they had to come up big, they could. And then the Avengers, like Stark and Rogers. Then you have like Hulk, who's just kind of like pissed off at everyone, but I guess that's just his personality. So, but like in this movie, you're kind of like, are they actually gonna get through it? Are they really gonna, you know, be able to kind of like stand up for each other? Are they really gonna like, you know, like show that they're a team? And I think it took all the way to the end of the movie to realize, yeah, like they'll do what it takes to be a team. So yeah, in the beginning of the movie, when Gamora is taken by those three other prisoners when they're still inside the prison, Drax comes down and he's like, no, she's mine. Like her relatives, her companions killed my wife and my daughter. I get to kill her, give Ronan Ronan and Thanos a piece of his own medicine, of their own medicine. And then all of a sudden Quill comes out, he's like, no, listen, you can have your revenge with Ronan, and she's the key to getting to Ronan. And then later on, Quill and Gamora are being chased by Nebula. Yeah. And Gamora's ship gets blown up, she's in outer space, she's dying. Quill gives her the mask, and then Yondu is like beating up Peter, which is like at this point when I'm thinking, oh my god, they're villains. Like Yondu and the Ravengers, are villains to Quill and the Guardians. But then Gamora starts sticking up for Peter, and then you really show that it's not just kind of a one-sided thing. It's you know, they're both equally, I don't want to say like into each other, but they both. Gamora realizes that with Quill and the Ravengers, that this is the only chance really for her to save her home planet, if that's what she wants to do, and she does want to do that, just that. So, I thought, like, you know, that was another scene where you're like, alright, well, now we're starting to form some tighter relationships, because, you know, Gamora's now helping Peter. Peter already helped Gamora. Groot and Rocket, you know, they have a, I don't want to say love-hate relationship, but I think the more love-hate relationship is between Rocket and Drax, because it looks like that they're gonna like get along and agree with each other on something, and then they start fighting, they start arguing or whatever. But I think Drax, for him being Drax the Destroyer, being this big green giant almost, who just basically wants like everyone dead because of the heartache that he had to go through with his wife and his daughter. Like that leads to a lot of the conflict within the group, and Rocket's pissed off all the time because everyone calls him, you know, like a defect or whatever. So I think that leads to a lot of the conflict was within the group was Drax's personality and Rocket's personality, but mostly Drax, because you know he's still like low key pissed off at Gamora because she's related to the people that killed his family. But I thought that was I thought that also played a huge role in the movie, because that was really the lead motivation. I feel like because Gamora went through the same thing. Thanos murdered her parents right in front of her and tortured her. So I feel like she knows what Drax was going through, and that was also part of her motivation. But yeah, so now I'm gonna get. So I just think that like his motivation was like a driving factor into finding Ronin. Because, you know, why does Quill care? It's not his planet. Why does Rocket and Groot care? Because, I mean, Rocket really only cares about getting paid for finding people and stuff. For basically, I call him and Groot bounty hunters prior to meeting the Guardians. I think that's like kind of an appropriate term. You can agree or disagree. I don't really care, but I view them as bounty hunters. So now we're gonna get into the actual review. I think like this movie was really good, but the fact that it put me to sleep 2 times, but I don't think that has anything to do with it, because like there are movies that will like I'll fall asleep during because there's not enough action, but like that's not the case for this movie. There are actually so many different fight scenes with so many different characters. It's not like you have the same character fighting all these different enemies. Like, you have Quill fighting Yondu, then you have Gamora fighting Nebula, and then you have Drax fighting Rocket, then you have the cops fighting kind of like all 3 of them, and then at the beginning of the movie, you have freaking like Gamora and Peter fighting, and then Rocket and Groot trying to catch Peter, and then Gamora is like still just trying to run away, and then I don't want to say like police, but like the law enforcement then gets involved. So there's definitely a ton of action in this movie. A majority of the movie is fighting and like in space, which I always think is cool, you know, like Star Wars, like when it takes place in the Millennial Falcon. I always think those scenes are so cool. Or like when Skywalker's flying a ship. Like those scenes are always just so cool. So the fact that this movie had a whole bunch of like flying scenes, but then also like real fight scenes, it was good. And then, you know, it has that sad part when Groot's dead, or Groot needs to be replanted, I should say. That's just a little less like violent, but like that part was like heart-wrenching.
Aquaman wins.
And then, you know, you have the dramatic part where it's like, oh my god, Ronin's about to touch the stone to Xandar, and everyone's gonna die, including the Guardians. But like, I already saw the second movie, so I'm like, that's not happening. You know, it's a Marvel movie. You know, somehow they're gonna do something, and they actually use perfect comic relief for it too. Because Peter's dancing, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just creating a distraction." and then boom, before you know it, the stone's like loose again. Peter grabs it. That way they can kill Ronan. So there was that. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, so if I had to give this movie a review out of 10, I would definitely give it a solid 8. Usually I'm very generous with movies and stuff. I'm usually like, oh my god, this is like my new favorite movie. I just think like if I have to compare it to Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I just think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is better because we can all admit Peter's kind of like the main character, Star-Lord, Peter Quill, portrayed by Chris Pratt. He's kind of like the main character. So the fact that, so if you think about it, in the first movie, the family ties are to Gamora and her family, even though she's like adopted and being like abused by him.
Aquaman wins.
Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, but Peter's really the main character. So in the second movie, when the villain is related to him, it's his father. Spoiler alert. Sorry, I should have said spoiler alert before I said his father. But I mean, come on, it came out a while ago. I found that interesting. Like, I just find it a little better when the main character has to go through it. And really, for most of the movie, you don't realize his father's the villain. Until kind of like a lot later. But they also ended this movie by saying, oh, you're not fully human. That's why you were able to hold the stone. So, and then like Yondu, who I think mentioned something about returning him to his father. That's kind of like your first hint if you, like, prior to the second movie coming out. Like, probably when this first movie came out, you're like, huh, like, what happened to Peter's father? Why is he being returned to him? Like, why do you have to go to outer space to be returned to him? Like, why not just, like, put him on a plane and fly him halfway across the world if he's, like, in Europe or something? But he's not. He's, like, his own planet, I guess, you could say. So, comparatively, I would just call the second movie better than the first one. Like, I'd give the second movie a 9, so I'm just gonna... So, yeah. So, this movie was definitely, though, like, a solid 8, no doubt about it. Plus, I love Marvel movies. I love how this one was put. I think they did a really good job with it. And all the scenes, though, just looked phenomenal. Casting choice, Zoe Saldana as Gamora, James Gunn, or not James Gunn, he directed it. Dave Bautista as Drax, Bradley Cooper voicing over Rocket, and then you had Chris Pratt, who played the lead in Peter Quill. That was a phenomenal casting. Like, I really had, like, just such an enjoyable time. And even with the second one, too, it's the same cast. They really just made, like, the perfect team, the perfect, like, whatever you want to call them. Like, everything about, it just seemed like they had good chemistry. It's like, you know, you're calling each other idiots. And it's like, you can kind of tell. It's like, even though, like, they're actors and stuff, like, being called an idiot, like, 100 times. It's probably like, alright, I'm getting sick of it. But they just seem so like family-like and so like close together that, you know, they could call each other idiots all day long and no one would care. But yeah, so solid 8 out of 10. And I would definitely recommend this movie to, sorry, my phone's blowing up.
Aquaman wins.
But yeah, so definitely recommend it. If you're watching this video, I gave you probably a ton of spoilers, but you can definitely go into this movie and, you know, be all for it. It's really it's a great film. James Gunn did a great job with the second one. So then when I came back and watched the first one, I was like, you know what? It's probably going to be really good. I didn't think the beginning was boring. The first 2 times I watched it. But I was like, you know, maybe they could have done some stuff a little bit different. But I mean, I don't really know how much I can ask for, because it's like he gets abducted within the first like 2 minutes of the movie. So, like, I don't know, but phenomenal movie for the rest of it. And yeah, so solid 8 out of 10. I'm not like trying to die this match, but like this would be a really good ending point. You know what, I'm just gonna end it off here because my phone's blowing up and this is really annoying and I don't wanna, you know, just keep dragging the video along for no reason. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this review, make sure you guys comment. If there's another like movie or something, I'm gonna start doing reviews on the DC TV shows, probably like mid-season finales and season finales, unless like I'm super bored. I'll just kind of like give like updates almost, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe I'll start giving like episode updates, although I don't watch like as they're live. I watch kind of like afterwards. Like I'm still catching up on Black Lightning and Legends. I'm like 5 episodes behind on each, or at least 4 behind on each. And I just caught up with Supergirl, Arrow, and Flash like today. Oh no, I'm actually 1 episode behind on Arrow, but I think they went on like a 2-week break. And I have spring break next week, and I'm staying up late tonight, so I'm probably gonna, you know, catch up and stuff. But yeah, so I'm definitely gonna make sure that I do more reviews, because it looks and sounds like a lot of people like them. But guys, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. That way you guys never miss a stream or a new episode uploaded. And I just want to thank you guys so much for watching, and, you know, just taking the time out of your very busy days to actually, you know, come to the channel and, you know, chill with us. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace out, bros.